The storm started on a quiet Tuesday morning. Thunder rumbled over the sprawling glass mansion as servants rushed through the halls, trying to stay out of sight. Inside the master suite, 19-year-old Liam Kensington sat by the window, staring at the rain with hollow eyes. He had been told just 2 weeks earlier that he only had 3 months left to live. A rare genetic condition was eating him alive, and despite the billions his father controlled, no doctor on earth could save him. That morning, his father, billionaire real estate tycoon Charles Kensington, gathered every employee in the house and made a chilling announcement. No one, not a single person, was allowed to speak of Liam's condition to anyone outside the mansion. But what he didn't know was that one maid, a quiet woman named Elena, had already uncovered a secret in the house that could turn this entire tragedy upside down. Welcome to Black Voice Stories. Make sure you like and subscribe for your top-notch rich family drama. That night, the mansion felt like a war zone. Security guards patrolled the property, their radios crackling every few minutes. Liam's older sister, Victoria, had locked herself in her room after another explosive argument with her father. Rumors among the staff claimed that Charles had threatened to disinherit her if she didn't stop her late-night meetings with a mysterious man no one had seen before. Elena, the maid, kept her head down as she cleaned the West Wing, but her heart was racing. Earlier that day, she had found a hidden safe behind one of the mirrors in Charles's private study. Inside was something she shouldn't have seen, documents suggesting that Liam's illness might not be natural at all. Things grew darker when a black SUV showed up outside the gates just past midnight. The guards swarmed the vehicle, guns drawn, but the driver sped off before they could approach. Moments later, Victoria's room was found empty. Her phone, her clothes, even her jewelry were gone. The entire house went into lockdown. Charles stormed through the hallways, shouting at everyone, accusing them of helping his daughter run away. When he confronted Elena, his face just inches from hers, she almost told him what she had found. But before she could speak, another servant burst into the room, pale and shaking. Someone had just broken into the mansion's private medical lab. Before we dive in deeply, let us know in the comments what country or which city you're watching this story from. We'd love to know how far this story travels. The storm outside hadn't let up by the next morning. Heavy rain pounded against the glass walls of the Kensington mansion, as if nature itself was trying to warn them. Charles Kensington sat at the head of the long mahogany dining table, his fist clenched tightly around a glass of whiskey. He hadn't slept. His daughter was missing, his son was wasting away by the hour, and now someone had broken into his private medical lab. What made his rage boil even hotter was that the intruder hadn't stolen anything obvious. Instead, they had taken only a single hard drive. That drive contained all the files from Liam's experimental treatments, including records of procedures Charles had never told even his family about. Across the room, Elena served breakfast quietly, though her hands trembled with every movement. She knew what the billionaire didn't, that the stolen hard drive could expose secrets he had buried years ago. She had read enough of those documents hidden behind his study mirror to know that Liam's disease wasn't as natural as Charles wanted everyone to believe. Charles slammed his glass onto the table, shattering it. Find Victoria. Find the thief. And if anyone here is helping them. His eyes swept the room, full of terrified servants. You'll wish you were never born. 2 guards dragged in a young chauffeur who had been on duty the night Victoria vanished. His face was bruised from an interrogation already gone too far. He swore he hadn't seen her leave, but Charles wasn't convinced. Before Charles could order another round of questioning, Liam's weak voice broke through the tension. Stop it, Dad. You're not protecting me anymore. You're protecting yourself. The entire room froze. Elena's eyes flicked toward Liam, wondering how much he knew. Later that day, Elena slipped into the West Wing, pretending to dust. She had hidden a small notebook in the laundry chute, copies of the documents she found in the safe. The pages hinted at medical experiments, money funneled into shadowy labs overseas, and a chilling line that made her skin crawl. Condition induced for inheritance control. If it was true, then Liam's illness hadn't just appeared. Someone had made sure he would never live past 20. That night, A scream shattered the uneasy silence of the mansion. A security guard had been found unconscious by the pool, a syringe in his neck. By the time Charles and his men rushed outside, they saw a figure in a black hoodie scaling the outer fence with frightening agility. Charles shouted for his men to shoot, but they hesitated. The hood slipped back for just a second, revealing Victoria's face before she vanished into the rain-soaked night. The household erupted into chaos. Charles ordered the gates sealed, helicopters prepared, and every resource at his disposal thrown into finding his daughter. But what he didn't realize was that Victoria wasn't running away. She was coming back with something dangerous. Meanwhile, in Liam's room, Elena knelt by his bedside, whispering words that would shake him to his core. "Your father isn't telling you everything, Liam. And if you want the truth before your time runs out, you'll have to trust me." Rain lashed against the glass, as if the sky itself was trying to drown the Kensington estate. Liam's breathing was shallow, but there was a fire in his eyes that hadn't been there for weeks. "What do you mean my father isn't telling me everything?" His voice cracked with both anger and fear. Elena hesitated for a moment, glancing toward the security camera in the corner of the room, then reached up and covered it with a pillowcase. "I've seen the files," she whispered. "Your illness wasn't random, Liam. It was engineered. There are treatments that could stop it, maybe even reverse it, but your father shut them down." Liam's heart pounded so hard he could hear it echo in his ears. He had always suspected that his father was hiding something, but this? He tried to sit up, wincing at the pain in his chest. "Why would he do that to me?" Elena's expression darkened. "Because he's protecting the family empire. And you were never meant to inherit it." Downstairs, Charles was barking orders into his phone, pacing like a caged animal. "I don't care what it costs. Track her down and find out who broke into the lab." His private investigator on the other end of the line gave him chilling news. Victoria had been spotted at a small airstrip 20 miles away, boarding a private plane. Charles slammed his phone shut, grabbed his coat, and stormed out of the house with 2 armed men. The mansion was suddenly quieter, though the air buzzed with tension. That was when Liam made his move. With Elena's help, he slipped out of bed and limped through the servants' passageways toward the forbidden wing of the house, the wing where the family's private vault and medical facility were located. Halfway down the hallway, they heard footsteps. Elena shoved Liam into a linen closet just seconds before a guard turned the corner. They held their breath as the guard walked past, but Liam's heart dropped when he saw who the guard was escorting. It wasn't a servant. It was a stranger in a black suit, carrying a briefcase. Elena's face went pale. "That's not one of Mr. Kensington's men," she whispered. "That's Dr. Halvorson, the man who ran the first set of experiments on you." They waited until the footsteps faded, then slipped out and followed. What they saw next chilled them both to the bone. Dr. Halvorson unlocking the vault and pulling out vials of a glowing blue serum, the very treatment Charles had supposedly shut down months ago. Before they could process what was happening, a loud crash echoed from upstairs, a window shattering, shouting, and then gunfire. The mansion erupted into panic. Security radios screamed with updates. Intruders on the property. Suddenly, a masked figure grabbed Elena from behind and dragged her into the shadows, pressing a knife to her throat. Liam lunged forward, but the figure hissed, "Come with us quietly, or she dies." Liam froze as he recognized the eyes behind the mask, his sister Victoria. Liam's breath caught in his throat. "Victoria? What the hell are you doing?" Her grip on Elena tightened, her voice a whisper but sharp as broken glass. "Saving you before Dad kills us all." With a single motion, she yanked the mask off and tossed it aside. Her hair was soaked, her face streaked with rain, but her eyes burned with fury. "You think your illness is a tragedy, Liam? It's a weapon. You were supposed to die so Dad could keep control of everything, the money, the company, all of it. And now that I've got proof, he'll do anything to silence me." Elena's chest heaved as Victoria let her go. The moment she was free, Elena shoved the closet door, closed behind them. Gunfire rattled through the hallways as security clashed with Victoria's accomplices outside. Victoria grabbed Liam's arm. "We don't have time. I stole the drive. I know what they did to you. But if we don't get out of this house right now, we're never going to make it to daylight. Before Liam could respond, heavy boots thundered down the hallway. Charles appeared at the end of the corridor, his face red with rage, a pistol in his hand. "Victoria," he roared, "you bring my son back right now." The moment stretched like a wire pulled too tight. Victoria's jaw clenched. "If you want him so badly," she spat, "tell him the truth about why he's dying." Charles's expression darkened. "You don't know what you're talking about." "Oh, I do," she shot back. "You paid Halvorson to keep Liam sick so you could force him out of the line of succession. You poisoned your own son's future." Charles's finger twitched on the trigger. Elena stepped in front of Liam instinctively. "If you shoot her, you'll lose him forever," she said. Her voice didn't even shake. The standoff was broken by an explosion from outside. One of the SUVs went up in flames. The blast shook the entire West Wing, knocking a painting off the wall. Charles staggered for just a moment, and Victoria seized her chance, grabbing Liam's hand and sprinting down the corridor. They raced through the servants' tunnel as smoke filled the hallways. Elena was right behind them, coughing but determined. Security alarms blared, red lights flashing. They could hear Charles shouting orders behind them, screaming for the guards to bring them back alive. When they finally emerged into the garage, they found one of Victoria's accomplices waiting, a tall man with a military build and a scar across his face. He tossed Victoria a key fob. "Go now." They piled into a black SUV and tore through the gates as bullets pinged off the rear bumper. Liam clutched his chest, wheezing, but his eyes were wide with adrenaline. For the first time in months, he felt alive. Only once they were miles away did Victoria finally hand Liam the hard drive. "Everything is on here, every experiment, every deal, every lie. But once you see it, there's no going back." Liam stared at the glowing screen as the files loaded. What he saw made his stomach drop. Photos, charts, and reports proving that his condition had been induced, not by an accident, but through deliberate injections given to him as a child. And one signature was on every single authorization form: Charles Kensington. Liam's hands shook as he scrolled through the files, the glow from the laptop screen casting deep shadows across his pale face. Every page was worse than the last, medical notes detailing doses, side effects, and a timeline that stretched back to when he was just 6 years old. He saw his father's signature on a consent form dated the night of his 7th birthday. His chest tightened, not just from his illness, but from the crushing betrayal pressing down on him. "He signed my death sentence before I even knew how to ride a bike," Liam whispered. Victoria's jaw was set, her hands gripping the steering wheel so tightly her knuckles turned white. "This is why I left," she said. "Dad has spent years buying silence, burying evidence, and paying off doctors. But it's bigger than us, Liam. He's been running a genetic program, not just on you, but on dozens of kids. You're not the only one." Liam's stomach lurched. "What are you saying?" Elena turned from the back seat, her voice low. "She's saying your father has been experimenting on children, heirs of other billionaire families, to control who inherits their fortunes. It's why some accidents in those families never made sense." The words hung in the air like smoke until the SUV suddenly screeched to a stop. Up ahead, in the middle of the deserted road, stood Charles. His clothes were soaked, his hair plastered to his forehead, but his eyes were wild. Behind him, 3 black cars blocked the road, headlights glaring like the eyes of predators. Victoria slammed the car into reverse, but another vehicle cut them off from behind. They were trapped. Charles stepped forward, his pistol aimed directly at the windshield. "Get out, all of you," he ordered. Slowly, they stepped out into the rain. Charles's men surrounded them, guns raised. Charles's voice was calm now, almost eerily so. "Liam, you don't understand what I've done for you. I built this empire for you, for us, and everything I've done was to protect the family name." "Protect the family name?" Liam shouted, his voice cracking. "You poisoned me. You took my life before I even had a chance to live it." For the first time, Charles faltered. His gun wavered. "You were too soft," he said, his voice shaking. "You wouldn't have survived in this world. I had to make you strong." "You made me weak," Liam said, stepping closer despite the guards. "And now, I'm going to make sure everyone sees exactly what you've done." Victoria held up the hard drive. It's already uploaded, she lied, though her voice was so convincing that Charles froze. If anything happens to us, the world finds out everything tonight. Charles's face went pale. For the first time, he looked less like a billionaire titan and more like a man on the edge of losing everything. His gun dropped to his side. "You don't know what you're starting?" he said hoarsely. Liam stepped past him, his breathing ragged, but his eyes burning with something close to triumph. "No, Dad. You don't know what you've already finished." Within hours, news outlets across the country exploded with leaks, medical files, offshore accounts, secret recordings. The Kensington empire crumbled overnight. Charles was arrested the next morning on charges that shook the entire business world. Weeks later, Liam began a new treatment, the same one his father had locked away. His condition started to stabilize. Elena stayed by his side through every appointment, refusing to leave until he was strong enough to walk on his own again. Standing on the balcony of a modest beach house far from the shattered mansion, Liam watched the sun rise for the first time in months and whispered to Victoria, "For once, I feel like I might actually have a future." Victoria smiled faintly, tears streaming down her face. Then Dad didn't win after all. The end. Please like and subscribe for more rich family secrets like this. Do you think they got what they deserve? Comment below. Also, if you really love this video and want to support the channel directly, you can hit that super thanks button below. It really helps us keep bringing you more jaw-dropping family drama.